Hitting the rear collision is usually one of the more common collision scenarios that you see. This one is slightly different, however, as there is more than one vehicle involved in the collision. So where does the liability rest? Before we get into that, if you enjoy my liability reviews, do make sure to hit the follow button. So with a hit in the rear collision, you will often hear that liability is automatically placed on the car that's at the rear. This usually applies to a case where one vehicle is travelling behind another for a period of time. So in this clip, the camera vehicle is correctly proceeding in lane 2. There is a slower moving vehicle ahead in lane 1 that a number of cars appear to be in the process of passing, but these days people seem to overtake very slowly, so the cars in lane 2 will often back up, and that appears to be the case here. The cars in lane 2 start braking suddenly. The camera vehicle is also able to brake sharply and avoids a collision with the car in front. The camera vehicle here is the only vehicle involved in the collision that is completely innocent. The transit van travelling behind the camera vehicle appears to have the awareness of a garden shed and collides with the rear of the camera vehicle. The car behind the transit then collides with the rear of the transit van. So the liability goes like this. The transit is responsible for the damage to the rear of the camera vehicle and the damage to the front of their vehicle. In terms of its damage, the transit van was a write-off before the blue car hit the rear of it because the airbags had deployed upon impacting with the camera car. So when the transit van is hit from behind, the transit's value is essentially zero. The insurer of the transit likely won't be able to get any money back from the blue car's insurance company because the transit was essentially worth nothing at impact. They might be able to get a very nominal amount from the blue car's insurance company for the reduced scrap value that the transit would be worth due to the rear damage, but it'll probably not even be worth keeping the claim open to try and get a small amount like that back. The blue car that hit the rear of the transit naturally will be responsible for its damage to the front of it, and if there was another car that hit the rear of it, they would be responsible for the rear damage to the blue car, but we can't see that because the camera angle isn't so great. Lots going on with this hitting the rear multi-shunt, but as ever, it's always good to keep a good safe braking distance between you and the car in front. Lovely jubbly, sound as a pound.